and I'm just hoping in 2021 it will be much more like spring should feel for all of us. Hello guys, and welcome to this Volkswizard video, which is a little bit different to the norm because it's simply promoting a piece of merchandise. But don't worry, it's not a boring sticker, mug or t-shirt. It's actually the Volkswizard 2021 calendar. Now the reason this justifies a video is because the calendar is made up of 12 images that are very special to me, and each one has its own backstory that I want to share with you month by month. If you like what you see, there's a link in the description below to an eBay advert where you can order these. They're £10 each, including delivery anywhere in the UK. That includes Northern Ireland, and they're £18, including delivery anywhere else in the world. If you want more than one, then contact me directly. I'll put how to do that in the description below. So, without any further ado, let's start off then with January. Now, January's photo is here because it relates to the most popular video I've done this year. So Mark 7.5 GTI TCR versus the new Mark 8 Golf GTI. It's on about 160,000 views, which yeah, is pretty good going for this channel. And for example, Johnny Smith, who used to be a fifth gear presenter, when he got a very, very early drive in Wolfsburg, I think his videos from like 250, 60, so not even double, and he had the advantage of being really early on it and being a really good presenter. So yeah, it was a good couple of days there, all thanks to the guys at Cheltenham VW who loaned me the car. I came out of it thinking the Mark 8 GTI was very interesting because it seemed to be a little bit hardcore, even though this version on 18-inch wheels didn't really look it. It drove really well, and I'm really excited about the models yet to come. Club Sport maybe not so much, because I think they're holding some stuff back in reserve, but there are apparently GTI Cup models and Edition 45s and some race package and all sorts due. So yeah, we'll look forward to all that being revealed next year. Right, on to February. Again, thanks to the guys at Cheltenham Volkswagen, I had an ID3 for a few days. I'd just come back from Germany and the call came in the next morning. So I was down at Cheltenham VW bright and early. Luckily the weather played ball and I did a very thorough review of the ID3 and I really enjoyed that car. It was good, yeah. And now you can buy like base models for 25 grand. They do have a lot of appeal. Yeah. Now the photo was taken at a disused petrol station that I had my eye on for a year. I knew one day I'd drive an ID3 and I knew I'd take it down there and take a poignant photo of this disused petrol station, which is how they all will be if they don't adapt to electric mobility very soon. I even moved the closed sign around a bit so it would be in the shots, and the car being a bright colour worked really well on that, looking like quite a wet day. Okay, on to March. This is a humble Mark 5 Golf GTI, but it's made it here because A, it's my wife's car, and B, the photo is quite good. Also because the Mark 5 is a very significant car because it was a return to form after the bad days of the Mark 3 and Mark 4 GTIs. So her car's really standard. It's sort of the classic red colour, even on 17-inch wheels, and yeah, it's kind of come up well because I'm sure I've tweaked the photo using whatever you can do on an iPhone 8, but we caught the sunset just right, plus I think I've used the shadows function on it to make the car look lit. It almost looks like somebody's lighting it there, so it's come up really well. But yeah, Mark 5 GTI is a very significant car and therefore well worthy of a place in the calendar. Cold fingers now, it is freezing. April looks a bit warmer than it is now, so this was probably during lockdown, probably around April, and it features Project R8. So yeah, probably the most exciting car I've ever kept for myself. I had it for about 18 months before I sold it. In July I figured 2020 was going to be such a bad year, it's just best to liquidate that car, however much I loved it. So maybe I'll have another one, maybe I won't, I don't know. But it's gone to a good owner called Mick. It went into the storage for 6 months after he bought it in July, so it'll probably come out of the storage roughly around April when the weather's like that again. May, a little bit different. We don't normally feature Lego much, but Audi UK did a little competition where they sent you this kit and you had to time yourself to assemble it, and I was really super slow, like 1 hour and a bit probably. Some people did it in like 30 minutes, which yeah, it was pretty good going. But it's good fun, you know, if you want stuff to do over Christmas that's fun, get yourself one of these or get your kids or whatever this Quattro Lego thing. And if you want to spend like months doing it, get a Technic version like the Bugatti Chiron. One day I promised myself to do those, but I have to be retired, I think. Oh, sorry, it was taken in Suffolk. There's a little barn conversion I was staying with a nice sort of south-facing balcony, and it was taken on the little banister bit there with a view of the open fields, so it looks a bit like a rally stage. And I think that must have been July. So yeah, the weather was good. June then is my Golf GTI TCR, and this is in here because it's probably the best car I've ever owned. It's a great daily. It's economical, quiet when you're not in the mood. It does motorway driving really, really easily. You just forget you're in something like that. But when you tweak the modes and find yourself on the right road, it's probably the most exciting road car I've ever driven. I've retired it for a bit over winter just because I love it so much and I don't want to get it covered in salt because I want it to be around forever. I probably say that quite a lot and it probably will not be, but yeah, that was taken at Chesterton Windmill, which is a local landmark near where I live. Didn't realise how much of a landmark it was until this summer, but lockdown probably meant nobody could go anywhere else, so it was, in the summer it was really packed with people. And it appears on Forza Horizon 4 because that computer game was written by the clever guys at Codemasters, which is about 2 miles away from the windmill. So then we move on to July, which is an Audi S1, one of the few cars I haven't actually made a video on this year, but I had this in Partex off an old customer of mine. He traded it in for an Audi TT Quattro Sport. I drove it home one day to test drive it and managed to capture that photo. It's pretty good because the wheels are turned and the light's pretty nice. I think that must have been April because it was one of the last cars I sold before lockdown. Did the deal and then the car came in after lockdown as was allowed to happen. So yeah, didn't make a video on that, but I did do one with that GTI versus S1 about 18 months before, and I loved that car. It went sideways if you came off the gas rather vigorously, so much so that I had to pile on lots of lock in one of the videos. Great car. Must do more with S1s next year. And now on to August. So this was the Up GTI, a modified one. So the car cost the guy 14 grand and he spent 6 grand on it modifying it. So he fitted Bilstein coilovers, good. Cobra seats, great. Miltech non-resonated exhaust, not so great. Forge intake, all right. Forge dump valve, probably not so good. So I probably won't rush to buy something like this again because even though you think you're getting it at a good price, nobody wanted to buy it. So only when I started to strip stuff off it did it actually appeal to anybody. It was a really nice car, even like not, you know, taking away the modifications. It was really, really, you know, mint as it should be. It was only a year old, but that was filmed up at a place called Lighthorn, and that's just a mile or so away from Gilks' Garage Cafe. I'm sure they'll point you in direction of that, but it's really photogenic because the fields don't have hedgerows, so you get lots of good light and it's got quite good vistas. You can see cars coming for miles, so if you want to park in the middle of the road like that, you can, and if you can probably just about make out a lay-by there, which you can dash into if you need to get out of the way of cars. But yeah, that was a really, really hot and a sweaty day, and I did make a video on that. In September, we have the new Seat Leon Estate. So this was my first loan from Seat UK, quite possibly the last, because I didn't particularly like the car. The big problem with that, at 150 horsepower, they still gave you torsion beam suspension, which made the ride really rough, especially when combined with sporty FR trim. You should not have a sporty car with torsion beam suspension. It's like going back 20 years when it comes to chassis dynamics. So yeah, it was okay. Didn't particularly like the interior, didn't particularly like the looks actually, but that was the best angle. And again, that was up at Lighthorn, sort of late, very late in the day, just before sunset in early autumn. So I think it's very fitting for September because it's quite clearly autumn. The trees are just about going orange. October was again autumn. This was somewhere in Germany. So the idea of this trip that was done in an RSQ3 loaned to me by Audi UK was to go to Wolfsburg, do the museums, and then go to the Nürburgring for mountain biking. Basically do a bit of sport with the RSQ3 Sportback. It didn't really work out as planned though. The Wolfsburg bit was good, though we drove through one big rainstorm all the way from Belgium to that part of Germany. It was like hours of it, but the car was amazing. Wolfsburg was great. And then we went to the Ring and we just didn't do the cycling really as much as we should have done. My friend was on an e-bike, I was on a cross bike, which wasn't very good at bumps. He's super fit, I'm not. So we did about 10 minutes of cycling and then went our separate ways, but the car was great. Now that was taken heading for a McDonald's run. We'd had our steak on the stone, we didn't want another one, so we wanted to drive out to a place called Mayen where the nearest McDonald's was, and I knew it was a really good road. And just after this scenic bit, there is a few hairpins going up, and turn the car in, get on the gas, and you could get the back end to come out a little bit on the RSQ3, but that was just to quell understeer. So yeah, very impressive car. Colour was all right for a few days. I wouldn't really want to live with that Kite Alarmy green. Okay, now on to November, and here we have the Audi A3, the new A3 Sportback S-Line, shot again at Lighthorn. It looks like November, but it was probably early autumn. It was quite dull, so I think it works as a winter photo. I really like this photo because this A3 looks good from nearly every angle, not necessarily all of them, particularly with the smaller wheels of an S-Line. But with the wheel turn there, it just picks up the sculpting, and Daytona grey is super flattering for most cars, so that's why it's been in the range for like for donkey's years, really. Yeah, that was a good car. Again, did a full review video on that, and it was really popular. I think that's done over 100,000 views, so that was yeah, good, and it was really good to have that car pretty early. It was about 3 weeks after the launch, and because of COVID, there wasn't really a big launch anyway. And then finally we have December. Again, this was probably autumn, but it's quite dark because it was very late in the day. It was actually darker than it looks in the photo. Again, we're at Chesterton Windmill, and the beauty of this shot is that you've got this Tichy Mark 1 and you've got this huge looking Mark 7.5. So you basically go from the first Golf to the last Golf in one photo. That car belongs to a friend of mine, Alex Fisk, and he'd come to see me. We'd done a bit of work on the car. We'd been to Cafe in the Machine for a burger on a really nice evening, and then this was just us going on our way home. And yeah, a great day. It's a shame Alex is off to Australia in a few weeks to start a new life. So good luck, Alex. Hope it all goes well. So guys, that was my 2020 in photos. I think when I look at these photos, I just hope that when we get to these months next year that we're in a much better place than we are now. So when March comes in particular, you know, it was just a bad time for me and a lot of people this year, and I'm just hoping in 2021 it will be much more like spring should feel for all of us. Anyway guys, I hope you've enjoyed this Volkswagen video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, please comment, please share, please do subscribe, and as I said, if you want to buy one of these, check out the eBay link in the description below, and if you're ordering more than one, just contact me directly. We'll sort out a special rate for you. Thanks for watching.